Hi, my name is Dale Maley. Today in this short video, I'm going to review two different ways to make 90-degree turns in marble chutes. And you just saw one of those elbows or 90-degree turns in operation in the video. Before we get into the details of the 90-degree turns, I should explain that I use a standard wood track for my marble games, and it's shown over here, and I use 1-inch size marbles. So I make the track out of 1/4-inch thick pine, typically glued together, and the width is 1 1/16, which is just a little bit bigger than the 1-inch marbles and seems to work fine. Now here's a drawing of the first method to make a 90-degree elbow, and you can see that piece, the elbow is the actual 3 pieces in yellow, and then you see the standard track bringing the marble in, going around the curve and then taking it out. And usually I use hot melt glue to attach the inlet track and the outlet track to the elbow. As you can see up there, you actually have an interference problem there between the two tracks, so usually you have to notch out one of the two tracks at each elbow. It's one of the downsides of using this method. Now this first method of making an elbow requires 3 different pieces of wood. As you can see in the drawing here, the bottom piece is only 1/8 of an inch thick. That's kind of hard to make 1/8 inch thick wood. You can do it, but it's kind of difficult. The other 2 are 1/4 inch thick. So usually you have to make up all 3 pieces and then clamp and glue them together. And if you're making quite a few elbows in your marble game, that's a lot of different pieces to make. On the last couple of projects, because it was kind of difficult to make that first method, I kind of developed this second method, which I think is a lot easier. It uses standard 3/4 inch thick pine, and you start out just 1 piece of wood. You mark a pattern on there. You can print it out from SketchUp and glue it on, or you could hand lay it out as shown here. And you mark that out on a piece of wood, and then you basically scroll saw it or band saw out the 3 different pieces here. After you band saw or scroll saw out the 3 pieces from the piece of pine wood, the center part of the curve is shown here, and it's 3/4 inch high, of course. So what you want is on the left hand side, you only want about 1/4 inch left on the bottom. You like to remove the top. And on the front view there, you like to start out with it only being 1/4 inch below the top. So that gives you about 1/4 inch of fall for the marble as it goes around the bend, which is plenty to ensure it makes it around the bend okay. Now, how do you cut or saw that weird type of curve there, that taper? Well, fortunately, it turns out there's a very easy method to cut that tapered curve. So what you do is mark your cut line or saw line with a pencil, and you should be able to see it on the white piece of pine there. And you know, it's got 1/4 inch on one end and 1/4 inch on the other, as we just discussed. You put that little piece into a pair of old-fashioned wood clamps, as shown here, to hold it steady, and then feed that in the bandsaw and just bandsaw that pencil line. And it's actually very easy and very quick. Once you're done, you select which of the 2 pieces you want to use, and then you glue up those 3 pieces to make the 90-degree curve. Now I use SketchUp, a free drafting program, and from that I'll print out paper patterns, and I use white Elmer's glue to glue the pattern on the wood and then cut it out to the pattern. Well, here's one where I've actually cut out the pieces and used bandsaw and scroll saw, put the 3 pieces back together, glued them up, and I put them in the vise for just a couple of minutes to let the glue start to set. Then you can leave them there if you got time, or I put them in an oven at about 120 F for a few minutes, and the glue will be set then. And you've got to remove the paper pattern from the tops. You can use a belt sander to do that, or just take a damp rag and wash it off. And then your elbow's ready to install. In this photo, in the upper part, you can actually see some paper patterns that I printed off from SketchUp to make some elbows. And the lower part of the picture shows basically a completed elbow, except for removing the paper from the top. Here's a photograph of a finished 90-degree bandsaw made elbow where it's been installed, and the inlet track comes in at the top to the elbow. It turns marble turns 90 degrees, and then it feeds into the red divider box. Now the bandsaw made elbows work just fine if your marble's kind of traveling normal speed. If you have some areas that have much higher speed where it wants to shoot off the track, it's very easy to just cut another 1/4 inch thick curb piece and just glue it on top as shown here, and then it retains the marble around the curve and it won't fly out. The nice thing about the bandsaw method, you can actually expand that to things like a double curve as shown here. Just use the same general concept. Make your pencil mark with taper falling the way you want the marble to fall. Take it to the bandsaw, clamp or hold it with some clamps and saw it carefully. And you can use the same idea to make a double bend as shown here. So what are some of the advantages I found using the bandsaw method to make these curves? Well, the nice thing is one elbow is made from just one piece of standard 3/4 inch thick pine. You don't have to mess around and get 3 different pieces of different thicknesses like you do with the first method. And I find it takes much less time to make. All you really have to do is put the pattern on the wood, bandsaw or scroll saw it, and then glue it up, and you're done. The other nice thing is the flat bottom's actually easier to mount to the rest of your marble model because the bottom's flat. Otherwise, with the first method, you usually have to tilt that elbow a few degrees one way or the other, which makes it difficult to mount to other parts of your model. So, in summary, this video explains 2 alternative methods for making 90-degree curves in a marble track. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. Thank you.